What's up, internet? Welcome to Mo's Garage. So check this out. I just scored this nice Snap-on spring compressor from Facebook Marketplace, part number WAB590. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to find any information online about this thing, but either way, this thing looks pretty sturdy, pretty robust. There is one big problem with it though. This thing needs to be bench mounted, which I kind of don't want to do considering it would take up a whole lot of room on my workbench. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and build a stand for it using this old Harbor Freight dolly. Alright guys, so truth be told, I am also trying to clean up the garage while I'm doing this. As you can see over here, this is kind of my hoarder's corner. And actually, as I was thinking about how I'm going to build this stand, I kind of decided that I'm going to take inspiration from this press. As you can see, I have my smaller air compressor just kind of stored under there. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to go ahead and lay some wood over this. That way maybe I can fit some things down here and then have the spring compressor kind of sitting up here somewhere. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and rip off this carpet, see how thick this wood is, and then see if maybe I can find something to lay inside of this piece right here. Otherwise, I'm just gonna get one big piece of plywood and lay it over the top. Alright guys, so I went ahead and I ripped off the carpet off of the edges. As you can see right here, these things are just stapled on. I was able to get some of the staples, but not all of them. Honestly, it's not a big deal. I'm not looking for perfection here. I'm just looking for function. And I was also able to find another board that is the same thickness as these guys here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece to stick in the center of this dolly. Alright guys, so here's what we have so far. We have that piece of plywood securely screwed onto the dolly, and all I did was I took some rough measurements. As you can see right here, it's not perfect, but we're not looking for perfection, we're looking for function. Once I had this cut out, I went ahead and I screwed it on with some multi-purpose screws. And so now the next thing to consider is how we're actually going to mount that spring compressor to the dolly. I'm thinking about using this 2x4, kind of creating a frame that goes up, over, and down on the center of the dolly. And the reason I want to do that over the center of the dolly is because once we have the spring compressor mounted onto the dolly, it's going to be top heavy, and I don't want to be rolling this thing around and then all of a sudden hit something and it topple over. Another way to mitigate that problem is to go ahead and use this charger that I have, and maybe that'll be one of the items that we'll store down below. Now if I do want to store that charger there, I'm going to have to clear at least 2 feet, it looks like, because it looks like that's what the highest point on this thing is, not including the handle. The handle we can always kind of work with. Now this 2x4 is 5 feet long, so if we cut it in half, that should be more than enough space to go ahead and accommodate this car charger. Alright guys, so check this out. We have the vacuum and the car charger just kind of sitting on the dolly with these 3 boards. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and I've cut the 3 2x4s and I've secured the top board to the 2 legs. I haven't secured the 2 legs to the dolly yet, as you can see right here. And also, as you can see right here, I've gone ahead and I've scoot this thing back so that it's not centered anymore. And the reason for that is because with this car charger, I don't think that there's really a risk of falling over. And then also, once we go ahead and we mount the spring compressor on here, there's going to be an overhang for the MacPherson strut assembly, right? So I don't want that sticking out too far. So I figured pushing this back a little bit would be good. Something else I'm considering doing is adding a backboard to this to kind of help it with like sheathing. As you can see right here, this isn't super flimsy, and it might actually be less flimsy once I screw it down to the bottom, but I want to make sure this thing is as strong as it can be. And then also it'll add extra storage to the back. I can always hang stuff up back here. But yeah, right now this thing is looking pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and add that backboard for sheathing, and then we can go ahead and secure it to the dolly, and then we can finally add that spring compressor onto the stand. All right, you guys, so check this thing out. This thing is coming out pretty nice. As you can see right here, we have this car charger and the vacuum just kind of sitting on the dolly. The stand itself is pretty sturdy, pretty robust. And then back here we have a blank canvas for storage and hanging stuff. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing with this back area. So if you guys have any suggestions, definitely leave them down in the comments below so I can check those out. And then last but not least, here we have the spring compressor, which we are going to go ahead and start mounting to the top of the stand. So let's go ahead and get that started. All right, so to get this thing installed onto the stand, we got to remove this bottom frame piece. So we're gonna have to flip this over, and before we do that, let's just go ahead and remove these arms. All right, and then on the back side we have this 14mm nut, which is holding in this metal bar right here. And so then once we have this guy out, we should be able to slide this guy out, and then we should be able to release this bottom plate that we need to use in order to drill out the holes on the 2x4. Now we can go ahead and use this to drill out the holes on the stand. Alright guys, so I have this bottom bracket just kind of mocked up. I have it nice and centered. And so now I'm just going to take my marker. I'm going to trace the outline of these holes so that I know where to drill. Alright, so now let's go ahead and test fit everything. Alright guys, so this looks like it's going to work out pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and take this off the stand and remount it back to the spring compressor, and then we can go ahead and install the spring compressor onto the stand. Alright guys, so check out the final result. This thing came out way better than I anticipated. So we have the spring compressor just sitting up strong on top of this frame, and then we have a couple things down here as storage. And the beauty of this is that it's on wheels, so I can just kind of move it around in the garage as needed. Now I'm not sure what I'm going to be putting back here for storage, so again, comment down below what you guys think I should put there. But yeah guys, that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.